Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back. In this video, we're going to go over the layout of a typical Java project. So here on the left side, you'll see that I created a simple project called Demo1, and this whole thing is called the project structure. And what's a project? It's really just a bunch of folders, folders nested inside other folders, and inside those folders we have code files. We have this folder here called idea, and this is tied to the IntelliJ's, or I should say the IDE's configuration settings. So stuff like text size, I don't know, font color, your font, it's stuff like that. So if you were to upload this whole thing onto GitHub and someone else downloads it and then they open it, they'll have the same text size and font and all that as the person who uploaded the project. Okay, so typically when you're uploading a project onto GitHub, you don't include these other files here. The folder, I should say. The folder that you should really be looking at, okay, the one that has, I would say the most value or most importance is this one here called source or SRC. That's where you'll have your Java code. And inside you'll come across these folders with little holes in them, just like this one. These are called packages, okay? And packages are pretty much just other folders, okay? And you can create as many packages as you want, and basically the purpose is to better organize your project, okay? So I created this package earlier, and in case you're wondering about the naming convention, a lot of companies, what they do is they start with the name of the company, then the name of the project, and then their domain, but it's backwards. So Peanut would be the name of the company, demo would be the name of the project, and then .com would be their domain, okay? And then inside you'll come across these class files. I want to show you something real quick. You'll notice that this right here can all be found inside of your file explorer. So if you look up here, you see this path here, it says C users programming peanut idea projects demo one, right? So you can navigate in your file explorer and find everything. So we have demo one, right? We go inside, we see idea out and source, right? We go inside source and then we see com and then demo and then peanut. See that? When you create a package and you use a period, okay, so like when you use a dot between these words, it'll basically generate a new folder. You'll see. See, they have a folder for com, one for demo, one for peanut, and then finally inside we have a person class. Okay, so let's go ahead and open up this person class here. Now I wrote this earlier, okay, and we're going to go over everything line per line, okay? Actually, we'll start all the way at the top. You'll know that this is technically a Java file, okay? We'll go back to the File Explorer. You'll see it's a .java file. If we go to Properties, it says right there, .java. Sort of like a .jpeg or .png or something like that, right? That's the extension for the file. All right, so all the way at the top, line 1, you'll see it says package. Where is this class located? Basically, this is a comment, okay? And wherever you see gray text, assuming that you didn't change the color of the comments, anywhere you see gray text, it's just, they're just notes. And you can type whatever you want. To type in something cool like that, You can type whatever you want. If you misspell something, IntelliJ will complain. It'll put a little green squiggly line. But the important thing to note is that anything that's written as a comment, the computer will not run that line. Okay, so it's not going to run line 1 or 4 or 7 or anything like that. Feel free to pause the video, by the way, And just take a look at these notes here that I left, okay? These comments, okay? They basically help you better understand what the line of code right beneath it does or what its purpose is, okay? All right, so we'll start here at line 2. You come across the keyword package and then this right here, okay? All this is really doing is it's letting the computer know, hey, this person class, okay, this file is inside this package. And we go here on the left side, that's the package it's in, right? com.demo.peanut. Okay, that's where person is. And you don't ever really have to worry about this, to be honest. Like if I were to create a new class and I were to call it dog, okay, you'll see it auto generates that. It auto populates that for you. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that. But I thought I'd go over it just so people knew what it was for, knew what its purpose was. Okay. All right. Line 5, we have an import statement. Okay, and import statements are for when you want to borrow or basically reuse code from somewhere else. You know, code that either your classmate wrote, your coworker wrote, or more commonly, it's used for when you want to use tools or code that are just part of these packages. So there's you don't have to reinvent the wheel for a lot of these tools. So for example, there's a class called random, okay? And what this does is it generates a random number, okay? You'll see that if I highlight it, it also highlights it down here. You'll see that I use it later on in the code, okay? Now, I don't know exactly how it generates the random number. I don't really have to worry about that, okay? I just import it, okay? I import that tool, and then I use it. It's as simple as that, okay? Now notice how here this whole thing is a package, just sort of like this com.demo.peanut, all right? Now, how did I know that random was inside of this package? Well, if you look up Java API and then go to the first link that says docs.oracle.com, it'll bring you to a page that looks like this. And basically, these are all the different packages that are available for the Java language. And inside of these packages, you'll see that there are different tools for doing different things. So if we go to this one here, package java.math, we'll see that there are different classes here, and there's a short description of what they can do. I'll probably make a video for how to use the Java API to look for really cool tools to help with your projects. All right, so again, import. You're just telling the computer, hey, I want to borrow this tool, okay, and I want to use it in my class. All right. Oh, and one more thing. Let me show you something here. Um, if I type in Java and then dot, you'll see this little box come up, and this is what's called IntelliSense, and this helps you basically complete what you're trying to type. So if I press dot and then util, right, and then dot again, it gives you all the options, all the packages that are inside of util, and if there are any classes, it'll show them. You see, there's like an arrays class, a base64 class, all that stuff. Okay. And one more thing that I actually should have mentioned earlier was a semicolon. Okay. Semicolon lets the computer know that the line stops. Okay. Otherwise, it's going to think you're going to want to type in more. Okay. So semicolon is to end the the line. Okay. So basically, or the statement. Okay. All right. Line 8. This is what's called a class header. Okay. Don't worry too much about public. We'll go over that in the video where we go over classes, okay? So just know that public class person, this whole thing is the class header, and person is the name of the class, okay? This keyword class just lets the computer know, hey, This is a class, okay? Here you'll see that there's an opening curly brace, and when I put the what's it called, the cursor right next to it, you'll see it highlights its corresponding closing curly brace. Okay, so that lets you know that this whole thing here is the class. Okay, all right, if we move down to line 11, we come across what's called a global variable. Now, there are two types of variables. There's what's called a global variable, which is inside of the class but outside of a method. Okay, I'll repeat that one more time. A global variable is inside of the class but outside of the method. Okay, and then we have what's called a local variable, which is inside of a method, okay, but not outside of a method. That makes sense? Okay. All right, so notice how this global variable is just here. We have our methods down here. This right here, line 14, this one here is called a constructor. And yes, it's technically a method, okay, but it's a little different, okay? Basically, what a constructor does is you see how we have the global variable here? So global variables are usually blank, okay? So there's nothing assigned to them. What assigns values to those global variables is whatever you throw in this constructor, okay? So when you want to create an object out of this class, okay, you use the constructor to provide the value to populate the global variable, okay? For this video, just know the layout of all this. So here we have the package, imports. This is our class header. Right underneath the class header, we should have our global variables, okay? Right underneath the global variables, we'll have the constructor, okay? Right underneath the constructor, we'll have as many or as few methods as we want, okay? All right, so a method is made up of multiple different steps that represent a complete action. Okay, so here I have two methods. I have a method called greet, okay? And I have another method called be weird, okay? Now a couple things on methods is when I first started, I would get methods and classes confused. And I guess constructors too. Okay, so we'll start with the class. We know it's a class because it says class here, okay? We know it's a constructor because it doesn't say class, but it has the name of the class, okay? All right, and then the method, we know it's a method because the name of the method starts with a lowercase letter. You see how this is greet with a lowercase g, and this be weird starts with lowercase b, okay? That's the convention that we should be using, okay? Everybody should use that convention. By the way, this, I know I mentioned it in my other video, I don't like when it's all on one line, but it generated everything like that. Anyway, constructor is technically a method. It has an opening and closing curly brace. And methods also have an opening and closing curly brace. Okay. Everything inside is part of that method. Okay. Everything inside here is part of the constructor. Anyway, like I said, don't worry too much if a lot of the stuff doesn't make sense. You know, at least you sort of heard a lot of new keywords and you understand the layout a little bit better for a typical Java project. All right, so that is all for this video. Thanks so much for watching, and of course, I'll see you in the next one.